there are platforms that help you find the one, and that's amazing, and they have to exist, but they don't really cater for this idea of the constant evolution and change that a lot of us want to experience in our relationships.
Welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
Still on this couch. What are we doing? We were like 1 week only. Here we are.
I actually just tried to sell Ashley on canceling building the studio.
I just didn't. I just ignored it. I was like, no, we've been talking about this. We've sent all of our stuff. We've hired people to help.
There is 30 pounds of carpet tile just in 6 different individual boxes just sitting at my house. I can't even lift it. It's
Who
so
you got
heavy.
coming and take care of that?
Oh, I got the hottest TaskRabbit you've ever seen. Ashley, I'm so excited for you to see him.
The one.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been talking about your TaskRabbits on other podcasts that I'm doing. If you listen to me, I guess last week at this point on Francis and Julio's podcast, Oops, it was mostly about, well, my TaskRabbit experience, but also yours.
This podcast is just about TaskRabbit now. This actually is this is like the 4th week in a row we're like, TaskRabbit, ever heard of it? This guy is maybe one of the best looking men I've ever seen in my life. And he had his socks and shoes and shirt off in my bedroom, mounting a television. And Lindsay and I were sitting on my bed and I was like, are we about to fuck the TaskRabbit?
Yeah. Like, is he trying to fuck us? I mean, listen, we'll put a story in the Vibes Only app about this. It's
After
all I've been masturbating to.
But you have a new ring.
Oh, this is just some like cheap.
That's cute. Your little yang yang ring?
Is it?
Yeah, it's cute. It's giving like 1992.
Yes. So I'm back in my 90s grunge era.
Oh, that's right.
Because
no one will talk to you
no
about
one will
it.
talk to me about it except Tessa. Because watching Beef on Netflix got me all back into that music. Smashing Pumpkins, The Offspring, Bush.
Nobody will talk to you about it.
I've been trying to talk. Like Kate was like, please stop. You know how you're in a mood and you think your friends will join you on the journey. And I'm like, I've just been listening to a lot of Smashing Pumpkins and The Offspring and this and that. And she's like, Ashley, I don't. And I was like, oh, but also today I listened to this playlist on Spotify called Boo Thang. And she's like, that's more
now
like
she's
it.
back in. I feel like you don't really have an outlet for 90s grunge, punk rock. Except Tessa, who wasn't even born in that era. I asked Tessa what her birthday was and it had a 2 in front of it. I was like, I literally hate you.
Tessa was not born in the 1900s and it's upsetting to me.
And it shows.
No, but she's got this like dope taste in music. It's really, this is one of the first conversations I had with her when we rode alone in the car together to the Valley. And I was like, that's just so cool. Like, I guess it'd be like us being her age. And I had a little bit of an era, basically because this guy I was dating, where I was listening to like classic rock, like Leonard Skinner and Boston and that kind of thing. Like I went through a phase just with him specifically. But
I had a Leonard Skinner thing with this guy, the guy I lost my virginity to. He wanted to listen to Freebird. We just drove around and listened to Freebird. It's a 20-minute song.
So you're going to die because my ex asked me one time, we were in the car and he goes, do you like Boston? And I said, I've never been. And he meant the band. And I
like
was
Billie
like,
Holiday.
No.
I love her.
I love her. Clueless reference. But yes, I was like, I know, I've never been. And he was
really
like, no,
funny.
it's a band. I was like, what?
Okay.
And like the Allman Brothers, like I really went through it with him. He made me mix CD.
To be fair, I don't know that Boston is readily like, I don't know that I would know who that is.
But then I got really into them.
Boston.
I'm out of that phase, but I am back in my 90s grunge era. So I am wearing a yin yang ring. I'm going to get a Grateful Dead teddy bear.
You wear flannel sometimes. You do like to wear like a look
I'm
with a
obsessed
flannel.
with that look.
Yeah, me too.
Like I love that all this came back in, like wide leg jeans and like a little like bra top with plaid over it.
We're in our prime.
Yeah.
Okay, let's thank our partners.
Okay,
and then we're just going to jump right into it. Thanks to Article for supporting Girls Gotta Eat. Article combines the curation of a boutique furniture store with the comfort and simplicity of shopping online. Article is offering you $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Go to article.com/GGE. And we'd like to thank Nutrafol for supporting Girls Gotta Eat. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. Go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code GGE to save $10 off your first month's subscription plus free shipping on every order.
Yes, and thanks to Pretty Litter for supporting Girls Gotta Eat. Pretty Litter ships free to your door in a small, lightweight bag. Pretty Litter can help eliminate cat box stink in your house. Make the switch today. Go to prettylitter.com/GGE and use code GGE to save 20% on your first order. And new partner alert, we'd like to thank Skims for supporting our show. Skims fits everybody and more best-selling essentials are available now at skims.com. Plus get free shipping on orders over $75, all at skims.com. And if you're watching online, I'm sure you're wondering if I got breast implants because my titties are popping. They are huge. They're not huge.
They're like big like that
They
time that me and Rob were saying they were big.
They feel big to me. I don't wear push-up bras hardly ever. Like I don't like an underwire. Like I have a very specific type of bra. Comfort. I'm not all about it. I feel like a lot of push-up bras, like the way that they cut in and kind of push up your armpit fat, you know, but this is unbelievable. We'll talk about it more, but I am just so excited about this.
They're lifted and separated.
Yeah.
They look great.
They even like feel big. Like I feel like a big titty woman in this bra. Now I get it.
Yeah, you get it. It looks nice.
Anyway, we'll talk about Skims. We're really excited to have them. We had this great call with their team last week. Not Kim, but you guys, you know.
She'll be here soon.
We'll get her.
We have an incredible episode for you guys. So excited. Love this guest. We're going to talk about being on the road, but we put our live show tickets on sale last week. We're recording it. We just put it on sale this morning as we're recording. Yeah. So I have no idea what ticket counts look like, but thank you guys for just like bombing the website, going crazy, buying in every single market, all the Instagram stories. We're so excited that you guys are so excited and we can't wait to be there. So everything is on sale through the end of the year. That is every show that we're going to do. We might add something. We have one more thing up our sleeve, maybe in the UK.
Yeah, maybe. We're going to work on it.
No promises. Anyways, thank you. We're excited that you're excited. And Chicago is the next show up, and we have a couple tickets left for that probably. So girlsgotteat.com.
Yes. And we just get so many incredible messages, emails. It never gets old. They're so wonderful. And this one, I did just put this on my story or a snippet of it, but she emailed after the New Haven show, which was insane.
Actually, did you ever think you would say the sentence, the craziest thing I've ever seen at a Girls Gotta Eat show ever was in
Connecticut.
New Haven. I mean, no shade to New Haven. I just think of it as like a more polite place than like New Orleans, Austin,
Dallas,
Boston.
Yeah. It was an incredible show. But this woman named Carrie, she wrote in and her husband was there. She came with her husband. We brought him up on stage and he also gave this like incredible speech to her.
I forgot he
Remember? Grabbed the mic. I did drink. Well, that daddy sent us over shots.
Actually, I feel like I'm fine throughout the whole show, but when somebody brings us a shot, I like lose it.
I know. I was like, what is this? It tasted lemony. It was giving Bacardi Limon, speaking of the 90s. And she said, I had the best date night with my husband, the one in the Britney shirt last night in New Haven. The show was so fun and funny, and my husband loves attention. So getting on stage in front of hundreds of women was an absolute dream for him. And then this part just really warmed my heart. She said, last night was an incredibly unique experience. I loved being around so many friendly, excited, and sex-positive women. The energy in that room was something every girl should experience. You should be extremely proud of the community you've cultivated. I know you have a lot on your plate, but you should totally open a GGE themed bar with the same vibes. I'd be there every weekend, Carrie. So I was like, I'm going to put the Girls Gotta Drink bar on my vision board and get that going for Dewey Beach 2027. But then we'd have to open them everywhere.
Plan?
Yeah, well,
that's our chain.
We could, my retirement plan is the senior dog rescue on the Hesseltine farm, but I can also run a bar.
Matt can help.
Yeah, Matt will help. Yeah, that'll be a whole family business. You and Rusty.
Oh my God, I went up to that gallery this weekend.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I forgot to tell you.
This weekend?
This past weekend. You went to New York on Wednesday. I went on Wednesday.
What?
I went up to the gallery. I was there for a long time.
You didn't tell me this?
I was waiting for the podcast and I forgot to put this on my notes. I have art update for you on my notes and I forgot about this.
Sorry, everybody. I need a moment. What do you mean you did a thing I didn't know about? Oh, you know what? I traveled all day. I was on the plane all day.
On the plane the whole day.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Okay. And if you are new around here, our numbers are up. New listeners. We love you guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for being here.
Rayna has this art gallery crush since we moved here months. And we call him Rusty. That's not his real name. He is named after another dog I used to have. And you're never going to know it. But we call him Rusty. And he's a bouncer at this art gallery.
Not really a bouncer. He might be, though. Unclear.
Okay. So you went there Wednesday.
Listen,
You just went rogue. I boarded a flight and you just what?
Drove out to the Palisades.
Okay.
I had a day off. I was waiting for a day off. You were on the plane. I bought that art because I'm still trying to get Rusty to pay attention to me. He doesn't even work for the gallery. I'm spending so much money. I saw this meme that was have a kid and you'll find out who your real friends are. And somebody wrote under it, I feel like there's easier ways to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get Rusty and I'm buying all this really expensive art. And I feel like there's better ways to get to this guy than to sort of go buy this art. And the owners, I bring him up all the time and they just won't acknowledge it.
But okay, that's not fair because when one of the owners left you the voicemail, he said his name. He said, I know you met Rusty. That's not fair. Now you can't just just blue ball me on the conversation surrounding Rusty. Like,
Yes.
what's going on?
So I went up there to pick up this art. Lindsay and I went up, and I was talking to the guy who's friends with him. They're gym buddies, and we were there for a long time looking at a bunch of different stuff. And I was like, you got to thank Rusty for me for like turning me on to all this, and like please pass along my thanks. And he just completely ignored it and changed the subject.
Yeah, but that's been the vibe since day one when you drove all the way over to the convention center. When you drove to the convention center, you were trying to bring Rusty up too, and he was just circumventing and wanting to talk to you. Is it the one that flirts with you?
It was his brother.
I think the brothers
Both
want to
brothers are
fuck
cock
you.
blocking me. They will not acknowledge. Like I say Rusty, and they just change the subject.
Okay, Rayna, listen.
You gotta come.
I think you need to be bolder and then be like, you guys, let's stop playing games here.
Let's stop buying art here.
You know why I'm here. Where is Rusty? And is he single? And is he looking? Is he straight? Like, you need to get the deets.
Let's stop playing games.
You know, it's very funny. Like, it's so much your intention. So you're like, you guys know why I'm here. And they're like, we really,
For art?
What are you
About the
talking
art.
about, ma'am? And you're like, you know why.
And then, by the way, so I'm trying to forge a friendship with the owner, and I promise we'll move on from this.
They
But
want to fuck you, I think.
I know, and now we're
These old
texting.
twins.
So now I'm texting with the owner. Because, listen, I bought these things, you know, those like periodic table art.
Is this your house?
No, they do this like periodic table art. It's really
Yeah.
cool. And he's like, we decorated the whole Delta Lounge in LAX with this. And I was like, I've
Oh.
never seen this. And I walked into the Delta Lounge at LAX.
Oh, that's the
and it's
picture.
the whole wall
Oh, cool.
of the same stuff I bought. And they have a bunch of their art. And so I'm texting the owner, taking photos. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys like, you did this whole wall. And he's like, not really responding that much. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to keep buying art.
Oh my gosh. You're going to have the entire periodic table, all the elements. Like, you're going to have the whole
all
thing.
the elements. But
Yeah.
there's a lot. So it's like the periodic table of like naughty stuff. So it's like sex, pleasure, cocaine, champagne, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll just keep buying.
You know, it's going to be
stuff.
so funny. Like one day I'm going to like discover your
like,
art
hoarding
hoarding.
it.
Yeah. There's this like one spare bedroom in your house that has been locked and I somehow get the key and I'm like, Rayna, what have you been doing in here? It's just like,
Like that time that you walked into the hotel room and I was on the security cameras.
yes. Okay. Well, keep us updated, I guess.
you know,
At some
just
point
keep
you have to
buying
just be blunt.
I'm going to have to. They refuse to acknowledge it. He
Yeah.
will not respond when I bring up Rusty.
Yeah. Okay. So we just got back from New York. Well, as we record this, it'll be a little dated, but truly the best trip. I mean,
good.
first of all, it was 80 degrees, 86 at its high, which I felt like was an overcorrection, but we didn't need to be that hot.
You guys went too hard, yeah.
You know, I was there for a little longer than Rayna. I got in the day before, and obviously we did our New Haven show. We did this NBC segment, and then we did all our favorite things. I mean, for me, I got to do 2 sold out shows at the Stand with Francis, and you came, and all of our friends came. Our team came.
I got to be the audience, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah. Like, but Ashley came and Anna came, and it was just this really fun night out. Marcelo was there, and all of our friends, Mike Cannon,
who's been on the show.
Yeah. And Oscar Aiden and Esther Pravitsky. We'll just name the whole lineup. Karen Feehan. And that was so nice. And I got my hair done, and we got to have an incredible meal with our friends at Q. And I just got to city bike around. And there's nothing that makes me feel more alive. Like, truly, if I said this before, like, there's no greater rush than like having that busy day in New York, seeing all your friends doing stuff, and then you're city biking home, and you're just like, my life is a movie. Like, I was city biking past like Madison Square Park, and this listener was like, Ashley, I love your show. And I was like, nothing feels better than this. Like, nothing in this moment. And like, it was so funny because people kept being like, you're glowing from LA. And I'm like, no, it's sunburn from today. It's
Literally.
New York glow. I
Literally.
feel prettier there. I feel slimmer there. I did 18,000 steps one day.
I was like, where did you go without me?
But I just had this thought that I feel like if you compare New York and LA, New York has higher highs and lower lows. And LA is just more steady. And overall, maybe for me personally, I'm speaking for myself, a happier, more stable, just lifestyle. But it really doesn't have the high highs that you have in New York. Like the things that you do in New York and those really perfect days, I've always said, like the perfect day in New York, no other city can compare. And you just get such a rush. Like even that day I electric city biked all the way up to Central Park, up 6th Avenue. I was like, nothing will give me a rush like this in LA. And it's fine because I like this life and we chose this. And like I want to hike on the weekends and be outside and have have a little slower pace and wake up and not be walking amongst all the garbage with my dog and all of that. But you really remember, this isn't like we've been away that long, but it really reminded me of just how incredible and unique and unlike any other place in the world. And I feel it in my body and feel it in my soul, and meeting so many of our listeners, especially at the stand and on the streets. You met a bunch of people on the streets that have come up and said that they moved there because of us. And a lot of them were like, we can't believe we moved here and then you left. But we're so honored that we could inspire a move to a city like that. And it still will live in my heart forever. And we'll always go back. I'm already planning my next trip. But it was just such a wonderful time. And those high highs in New York, man, there was truly nothing like them. Nothing here will compare. Nothing anywhere compares.
I think you articulated it perfectly how I was feeling, because I was back there sitting outside in the morning, having lunch outdoors at the Standard. I was just like eating my little granola bowl, doing work. And I was like, is this the best day of my life? Like, how could I have ever left this place? This is the best place in the world. I love it so much. But like, it is true that like, I forget that there were so many bad lows there too. I mean, the weather and just the congestion in general. And I feel like somebody said this to me, and I really do feel like that leaving has made me love it again so much. It makes me so happy to be there. Yeah. So excited. We walked home from dinner. Like, we had this huge dinner, and like, I was like dying, and I just like walked home from dinner, and you forget how good that feels because you can't do that here.
Nothing feels better. It's so many of those little things. Like for me, it's like city biking around from like a show or just during the day. And then yes, walking home from dinner. We had the best time, and we went up to New Haven, did our show, came home, had the best pizza. So I didn't know about this New Haven pizza.
So listen, we woke up in a really bad mood, and I almost ruined this. Well, Tessa texted me and was like, I was texting her about what to do in New Haven about pizza, because that's what you do in New Haven. It's the Pizza Trinity. It's these three places. It's Sally's, Frank Pepe's, and Modern Pizza. And it's like going to the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Like, you just get pizza in New Haven. And I've been like hyping this. And then I woke up and Tessa was asking me about it. And I was like, just ask Ashley. I don't want any. And then you texted me on the side, and you were like, Tessa told me that you told her that only we would be having the pizza. And you were like, I was really excited about this.
And I thought you were too.
I woke up so tired. I only got like 5 hours of sleep as opposed to like my normal 9. I was like, I really am ruining this. I was walking around. I read your text, and I was like, she's really on me about this pizza.
Well, you got so excited the night before. You were like, we're going to do all 3 of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this journey. And then you were just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I was like, ouch. But Francis had told me too about this that I didn't know. And then he said, Dave Portnoy says it's the best pizza. He's the pizza guy, you know, whatever. And we went in and we got a clam pie at Modern. Mm-hmm. And then after the show, we had just a regular tomato pie from Frank Pepe. So we didn't get to try Sally's, but oh my gosh, incredible. And I really love that style. And I could talk about pizza forever. And I love Detroit style pizza, and love you, Detroit, miss you. And I loved the style. I love the clam pie. That's so different and unique. And I was like, I can't believe I'm putting lemon in this pizza, but it tastes so delicious. But just that regular tomato pie, like I love the width of it. It's like that good thickness. It's just like melted in my mouth. And you were so funny because the slices, A, they're not that thick, but B, they cut them. They're not that wide. So you could have like 4, but then you were like, look how chaotic they cut them. There's no rhyme or reason. They just like,
I just was trying to figure out how they do it, because they don't go straight across. I mean, maybe one person goes straight across, and then it's like diagonal cuts and square and rectum. Like, how do they do this?
And then Tessa, she's also been scouting out the venue staff before we get there and letting us know who's single, who's married. She's really real. She's really settling into her role.
She was like, the security guards are hot. This one's married. This one's not. I was like, how did you find this out, Tessa? And she was like, I just asked. Also, speaking of the security guards at the New Haven show.
Unreal. The hottest of hot.
His name is the Connecticut Cowboy.
Which I thought I came up with. Not that that's had such a hot creative take, but I said Connecticut Cowboy on stage, and that is his handle on TikTok. And then I was like, wait, did he make this TikTok tonight? Did I come up with this? And I was like, no, Ashley.
One of our listeners found it.
Really?
Yes, one of them sent it to me. So basically, the head of security for this venue is this huge guy, so sexy, big beard with beard oil on it, which you know I love. And he was wearing this cowboy hat, and I was like, this is kind of corny, but he could do it. And we get up on stage, and we basically read this email about like the security guards in the venue. This girl named Maeve, who is such an icon. She scouted out the security at the venue for us. So I'm reading about him, and I'm on stage. I'm like, is he here? And it was this amazing moment. The venue was pitch black. And then all of a sudden you see the doors of the venue open up in the back, and you just see the silhouette of a man with a cowboy hat just sauntering into the venue, like really slowly.
Like picture insane. Like old-timey saloon music is what would have been playing.
Yes, he's
like
all
that's
backlit.
Like a tumbleweed blows across down the aisle. Like that's how it felt. It was like the beginning of an old Western.
Yes. You just see his silhouette. He's all backlit. And he saunters, and when he gets to the front, he like kind of did some dance moves. And I feel like people thought it was the stripper. And We did not have a stripper at the show.
I was like, you guys, I know you think this is a stripper and it's not. And then Rayna just locked in with him to the point where I and probably the audience felt like we were on a date that we shouldn't be on. Like, I think you forgot where you were. Like, you really, like, I turned to the audience. I was like, are you guys seeing this? Like, I turned to 1,000 people. Like, they're my closest friends. I'm like, are you guys seeing this? This is crazy. She's losing it. She's just in the zone.
Well, I was like, am I even being funny? And I looked over, you made eye contact, and I was like, oh, she's like really laughing. Also, he is married and was very, like, if his wife happens to listen, he was very respectful of her. He wears a huge wedding ring.
Yeah.
He couldn't say it enough on stage that he was married. But I was like, you guys looking for a third? Or what are you guys doing?
He came to the green room after and fucked us. I'm kidding. He
only fucked me.
No, he's married and he was a totally respectful guy, but he did come in the green room afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like eating pizza, drinking red wine. He comes in. I'm like, is this the best night of my life?
Best night of my life.
New Haven. We love you. Okay, let's take a quick break and then we're going to get back into it and talk about the most attention I've ever gotten in an airport.
For a reason you guys won't even guess.
Yeah. Okay. So I am so honored to tell you about Skims. This is a new partner of ours and we did tease it last week. Skims is going to get me back to wearing underwear because I am notoriously commando 24/7. And we just want to tell you guys about it. I can't believe it. Like, I can't get over it. Like, what are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing over at Skims. Seriously.
How can it feel like this?
I don't know. I was like rubbing it on my face. We had a call with them and I was rubbing the bra on my face while we're on the phone with the team. It is so nice.
Like the material, because they say it fits everybody. I mean, it is so stretchy and soft. It's just like butter. It melts onto your skin. And we recently tried the Fits Everybody collection and it is truly life-changing. Any underwear that I had is out the window. I'm replacing all of it. And then I am also obsessed with their bralettes and the push-up bra I'm wearing right now. So I'll tell you guys about it. But Skims is the solution-oriented brand creating the next generation of underwear, loungewear, and shapewear for everybody. So a lot of people obviously know them from the shapewear and the loungewear, all their cozy stuff, but we're really focusing on the underwear today. And again, the Fits Everybody collection of underwear are lightweight, form-fitting essentials, buttery soft fabric, molds to your body, stretches to twice its size. So you really can share underwear with your friends of all different body sizes if you want.
Yeah, and also Ashley and I have very different size breasts and they fit both of us.
Yeah, and so a range of cuts and fits. There's underwear, bras to dresses, t-shirts, and bodysuits, and available in size extra, extra small to 4X, and offered in 9 core colorways and limited edition seasonal colors. So a lot of them are just the neutrals, like the nude colors or like a gray, black, obviously. And I'll just kind of go through some of the stuff that I received. I got the thong, I got the dipped front thong, the triangle bralette, and then the scoop bralette. And I'm wearing the push-up bra right now. I love the t-shirt bra as well. So the thing with bralettes, I'm a bralette slut. Like I have so many bralettes. I've tried so many different brands. And when I'm wearing a bralette, I want it to feel sexy. So I don't like when it's up too high. Like I'm not trying to wear a sports bra. Like I don't need that much support. So they're cut so low. Like you really do think of like Kim and how Kim would look in these. And they have pictures of Kim wearing every product on the site. But just that sexy, like low cut look. Because I don't want it peeking out of a low cut top, and just alone, they look so, so sexy. Mm-hmm. Like that's part of it. I don't want to call them small. You have enough coverage, but still feel very sexy wearing them. And of course, you can match all the stuff with their colorways and everything. You really can believe the hype. This collection has over 90,000 5-star reviews for a reason. Skims fits everybody and more. Best-selling essentials are available now at skims.com. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75, all at skims.com. So just head over there and check it out. Of course, skims.com.
And I want to talk about Article. I'm very excited because summer is coming up and I have just recently designed an outdoor space. And so I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about outdoor furniture. And Article really is like the best website to design an outdoor space. First of all, everything on their website, they show you how to curate it. So if you're like, I have no idea how to design any space, they will take all of their pieces and they'll show you ways that other people have curated it, things that go together. You can really do top to bottom, like you can do rugs, lamps, but the outdoor stuff, outdoor furniture can be really shitty. It can be really rock hard. I mean, the kind of material you have to put outside to like weather the storm, essentially, literally, can be really crappy, but they have so much good stuff. Beautiful designs. There's such an assortment of types of designs. There's mid-century modern, coastal, industrial, Scandinavian, boho. I usually go boho for like my whole space because my house is just very boho. Their designers just pick so many good styles. They are online only, so they can keep the prices down by cutting out the middleman. And Article offers fast, affordable shipping across the US and Canada. Plus, they won't leave you waiting around. You pick the delivery time and they'll send you updates every step of the way. I've had a lot of furniture delivered over the last couple of weeks. It can be really a nightmare. And Article does a really great job. And just if you're looking at their outdoor stuff, I love the Onya Lily White Lounge Chair. They have a whole set, and Airy Slate Gray Lounge Chair, AERI. And they have couches to match the chairs. They have outdoor furniture. Lots of wicker.
I just ordered the Elia Sarah Gray Lounger. So just like your standard long lounge chair that you'd see at the beach or pool. Like I wanted something to lay fully out on my back patio space, and I'm loving it. And then I kind of just can fold it down all the way, and it could be a seating area for like 2 or 3 people too.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really sturdy. The cushion is really comfortable. It's like this light gray and white, and I'm like loving the way it looks. But yeah, I just got that last week.
Oh, it's so cute. Well, guys, check it out for your outdoor spaces. They really do such a great job. Love their website. They'll help you curate everything. An Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/GGE, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That is article.com/GGE for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
Okay.
So I talked about this thing that happened this morning. I hooked up with this guy a little while ago, and we're not sending like full-blown nudes or anything like that, but he likes to send me like a very specific type of nude. And I sent him like a flirty text the other day, but it was days ago. And then this morning, 5:30 a.m. my time, so 8:30 a.m. his time, he woke up and decided to fire off this sexy pic.
What? Let me see.
I'm pulling it up for you, girl.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't wait. So this is days later?
Days later, he sent me a black and white.
Who is this? Oh my God. I did not expect. I thought it was going to be someone else. And so I was like, where's his beard? Okay. Way more who I would have hoped for.
Well, Beardy doesn't send me nudes. That's not his
Okay,
vibe.
That's why you were saying it. And I was like, what?
Is he in a full pair of jeans at 8 o'clock in the morning?
This is sexy. He's about to... Okay, can I just talk about one of the probably biggest challenges for men out there when sending nudes or sexy pics is what to do with their face? Do you remember that one Jenny sent us?
Wait, actually, he only makes one face. He closes that eye. Wait, look.
That's pretty specific.
He's winking in both photos with the same eye.
I like a wink.
Kind of like scratch. Listen, he's sexy and he could do literally anything he wants.
It's just kind of funny because if a guy that I would prefer is a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously, who's not trying to be a male model and give blue steel unless he's joking. So if they're going to be super serious, that might not come naturally, but then the smile is weird too. Because do you remember the one kind of sexier pic that someone had sent Jenny, and he was just like full grin ear to ear? Yes. So funny. Like it was, I never got over it. So their facial expression seems to be a challenge. And if any guys listening, I'm sure they're hearing me on this, where they're like, what do I do with my face?
It's so true. And honestly, I didn't notice until I just showed you that he's making the exact same face in both photos. I should do a side-by-side and send it back to him. I don't think he'll think that's funny. But you're right. I think guys don't know.
We're more used to it. Like we can do a sultrier face.
Like a smize.
Like a smize, or just kind of like, I mean, we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing with our lips. I mean, not all of us, but a lot of us know what we're doing. And I feel like guys don't know what they're doing. And I don't really want them to. I don't want a guy that's such a pro at like a sexy facial expression, you know, and then there's a borderline where they look mean.
Listen, I don't need a face.
Right. Just cut your head off.
Just cut your head off.
Yeah.
Just lips down. And that's like one of my favorites too. Like cut the nose and the eyes out. I'll do like lips down.
But there's nothing more funny than a full smile.
I don't think I've ever seen it except for that photo. That was crazy.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about something that happened yesterday. I brought my plant from New York to LA. I flew with it. This plant, I've talked about it before in the podcast. It's a spider plant. What happened was my mom gave me this spider plant probably 2017, 2018 for you. Do you remember? And I kept it. You were on your plant game.
Yeah.
So maybe it was when you moved into your new place. I can't remember.
It was like 4 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So my mom was like, give Rayna this plant. And then I knew you were kind of overwhelmed with your plants. And then I got it home and I'd never really had a plant. And I was like, I want this plant. So I'm going to take care of it and I'm going to see if I can keep it alive. And so I had the spider plant in my old apartment, where I remember walking down the street to my new apartment the day I moved and carrying it with me. And then I was gone for 3 months during COVID, and I came back, and of course it looked so dead. It was like brown and stringy, and it came back to life, and I couldn't believe it. I was like 3 months of not being watered. It's so resilient. It's such a survivor. And so then it started to grow all these babies off of it. And it just meant so much to me. And it's been in New York. And so I was like, I'm bringing this back to LA. Like, I'm never going to part with it. It really just means so much to me. And I brought it back. And I mean, I kind of had it in like a bag a little bit, like a soft shopping bag, but I was also kind of needed to support the bottom. So I was carrying it through the airport, like put it through security,
like a baby, yeah.
Like a baby. And, you know, just talking to it, my emotional support plant. And I've never gotten so much attention.
Actually, I've seen you bring a Zool to an airport and no one paid that much attention. Everybody at Clear stopped. The entire staff at Clear just stopped to talk to you about it. And like people of different cultures were like, if I tried to bring it back from my country, this is what would have happened. Like, it was wild.
And people were like, is that a spider plant?
The people in the Centurion Lounge wanted to talk to you about it.
Yes. And then that woman on the plane, we boarded the plane. She was like, is that a spider plant? And everybody was like, has it grown its babies yet? And people just couldn't stop talking about the plant.
It's not like a unique plant. Like everybody has access to spider plants. This is not like a really like off the beaten path plant. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody wanted to talk about it.
So the other thing that got me the most attention in airport, these are life hacks if you like attention, is and I had posted this on my Instagram story, the day that I went to the Philly airport twice in one day. I went in the morning, I went and saw a house, I went back at night. In the morning, I bought this Eagle sweatshirt that is so dope. It was way overpriced, but I bought it. And while I was buying it, that's when someone took my suitcase and then I lost my suitcase. But anyway, and then later that night, I wore it to the airport when I flew out. Never got so much attention because yes, you're flying out of Philly, but so many people fly in and out of Philly. You're not necessarily from there. So for me to wear this Eagles sweatshirt, everybody was so into it. Like everybody that checked me in, everybody at TSA, everybody in the lounge. I got so many go birds just going throughout the airport. And I was like, this is the way to like really feel yourself in the airport. And then the plant is the second way. The dog doesn't really do it.
No one paid attention to it. So I mean, maybe some people, but nothing like this. This was wild. And the guy at Clear was also telling you how to like cut the leaves and replant them. That was insane.
It was just shook the whole experience.
It's a plant. Like everybody's acting they've never seen a plant before. It's not a particularly big plant. It's not like a little tiny baby plant. Like it's not funny how big or small it is. It's not exotic. It's a plant.
Okay, well, let me ask you something.
I'm not insulting the plant.
Not at
I'm
all.
Just saying.
We're not offended.
You and the plant.
Rayna, all the flights we've taken, have you ever seen a plant on a plane?
That's true. Never.
It is exotic.
It is exotic.
Fly with it.
Okay, I have to show you something. Listen. You told me to stop taking pictures of you sleeping on planes. You got kind of mad at me. And
I didn't get mad.
Really
I just
clapped
said,
at me.
I don't want them anymore. They're not funny to me. I look heinous. So
but
stop.
You actually looked really pretty in this one, and you were taking a nap with your plant, and it was really cute.
That's so cute. Okay. We'll put this on YouTube. Taking a nap with your plant.
I truly have never seen a plant like this on a plane. I'll get the photo so you guys can see it on YouTube because I thought it was so cute.
Oh, we're going to put it up. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do some racks and then also recap Love is Blind really quickly. I watched the finale, but not the reunion because like the rest of America, I couldn't get it. You watched both.
I was able to watch the reunion last night on my laptop. It didn't work on my TV and it didn't work on my phone to mirror it to my TV, and it wouldn't mirror for my laptop. It was totally fucked. So you probably know Netflix completely fumbled the ball on this live reunion. Just shit the bed. Like, how are they the largest streaming platform in the world? They couldn't handle a live stream. And I understand there was a lot of volume, but like it still was crazy to me. And then they put it up and it still wasn't working for most of America. I was able to watch it. It was fine. This season was more bland than past seasons. And you know, if you know, you know. I don't really have much to say. They definitely need new hosts. I think we are all in agreement, at least what I'm seeing on Twitter, like Black Twitter, white Twitter, whatever it is, are all coming together to be like, we got to get Nick and Vanessa out of here. And listen, you can see it's mostly Vanessa. She kind of dominated this whole reunion. Nick didn't really talk. And I mean, the most egregious thing to me was just this like baby pushing. Just, you'll see, just constantly, when are you having babies? When are you having babies? Like it was excessive. It felt like everyone was uncomfortable. And then she had this like batshit interview with Jackie and Josh that if I would have been on that stage.
Are they still together?
Yeah.
Oh.
And if I would have been on that stage, I would have been like, Vanessa, what the fuck was that? Like all just girly girl with Jackie. It was very strange. People just feel like she's really biased. And I know she knows what goes on behind closed doors, but just, you listen, whatever. Maybe it's just her personality. I found it to be cringe. And I think we've always wanted new hosts. Like they're not that involved. Like everybody wants Lauren and Cameron or Ashley and Rayna. And I don't understand why it's not Lauren and Cameron or I don't understand why it's still Nick and Vanessa. Cause I just feel like the strong majority of Love is Blind viewers don't want it.
I don't understand it. The tweets were such gold yesterday. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like it was just so hysterical. And yes, it united the nation that like Vanessa did not do a great job.
It's Netflix and then Vanessa are common enemies.
Yes. Black Twitter and white Twitter all together. They just came to, there's funny like memes about it.
Yeah. We all came together. And I hate to shit on her.
The overall feedback, and listen, I didn't watch it. The overall feedback seemed to be that she really supported toxic behavior by women because they're women. Did you feel like that?
I guess it came across a little man-hatery. I don't know. They definitely let Arena have it. The Jackie and Josh thing was crazy. Like she was just like, Jackie, why do you think he wanted the ring back? And it's like, what? They've been engaged for a couple weeks. Like, it was just, everything was, yes, more in favor. It just wasn't unbiased is how it felt. I didn't love it, but to me, the baby pushing and asking people straight up, when are you having kids? Like they've just been married and you don't know their situation is so dated.
It's
like
really
we don't
weird
do that anymore. And this isn't just because I don't want kids. Like it's uncomfortable for everybody. It was bizarre.
The ring back thing is interesting because I saw Jackie address it. I mean, obviously Marshall didn't pay for the ring. Obviously Love is Blind pays for the ring.
They should give back to Love is Blind.
Yes. I mean, you have to give back to Love is
Give
Blind.
it back to the show.
Like I saw this thing.
That's the solution.
I was watching this thing this morning. Of all people, Nick Viall was giving his input about Tom Sandoval and Ariana and about how Tom Sandoval has basically made Ariana sound like a little bit crazy in that moment. He had this really good insights about how like it's hard to judge people in a moment where they're in so much pain because their brain is trying to catch up with what's happening and they're not really themselves. They're like out of body trying to like figure out like how am I going to deal with this? And I think in that moment when Marshall was like, I want the ring back, I think he was like, I'm being humiliated by a person that I've been so kind to, that I have supported, and I don't know what to say. So like that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
So I fully like just understood he was like, I'm on national television. I look like a bitch.
Totally. But Vanessa's tone was very like, girl, like how embarrassing. He wanted the ring back. Like her tone was wild.
It's wild.
With Jackie and Josh.
So
like,
I'm saying I'm backing him up for saying I want the ring because I think he just said whatever.
Totally. It's insane. Like, and then they aired that wasn't live. That was like a virtual interview that they aired during the live. Meanwhile, Marshall's sitting there like kind of throwing her shade with his eyebrows, like his look. And I would be too. And then she gets right off of that and she's like, so Marshall, and he's like, what's up? Like after that, I feel like a bitch again. Right. So it was just like, she seemed like she was drinking. Like it was really just loud and
too aggressive.
Nick could not get in there. It was, and you're like, this is live TV, man. Cause this wouldn't have been edited to be like, this is some hot mess.
I mean, you've seen her edited and it's not even good.
I feel bad about it. Like, you know, some people just aren't your people. People don't like me, don't like you, think we're obnoxious and cringe. You know, it's whatever. But I just think we deserve better. And that is what everybody is saying.
So not even to drag them, it's just the format of the show. I think if they had hosts that were more involved throughout every episode at some point, or even like, you only see them like 2 times throughout the season. If you had hosts that were like around every week to like give input and meet the cast, and talk to them, you'd be like, okay, you have a dog in this fight. You can have an opinion about this. But it's like, these people just popped in twice.
I know, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, Vanessa, we've seen you twice and you've just talked the whole reunion. And of course they know what's going on, but you're so right. And I want it to be a couple that's been through it. I want it to be Lauren and Cameron. I feel like they could relate to their couple so much more, offer insights, like whatever. Now we've spiraled, but we're not going to do a bonus episode in the season. It just wasn't really enough to talk about.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm happy for the couples that are staying together. I love Tiffany and Brett. They're like the elite. And I just, you know, wish them the best.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll give a couple more recs and then we'll get to the episode. So I just want to give a couple of recs for former guests that we just really want to hype. Ramit Sethi, who was a fantastic guest of ours. We did a whole episode about money with him. He wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And he has a show out now on Netflix called How to Get Rich. And every episode, he basically focuses on a character and helps them. So congrats to him on his Netflix show. And we'll definitely have him back on our show. And I also
Wait, hold on. Can I read the post that
Yeah.
he posted that I was just like, what an icon in the comments? We can share this too, but this is 4 days ago now. So like last week at this point, if you guys are listening, 5 things I do wrong every morning. 1, scroll Instagram and Twitter for at least an hour. 2, watch Netflix for an hour. 3, I don't meditate. 4, I don't write in a gratitude journal. 5, I don't drink 8 gallons of water. And then the last thing says, you decide your rich life, including your morning routine. Build yours today. I love his whole attitude.
I do too.
We've talked about his attitude on renting versus buying. And also like a lot of that stuff is good. Water, gratitude journal, like it's your life, do what you want. But I like that he's like, you don't have to follow this thing.
And he said, like, if you do, like, figure out how to formulate your life so that you can do those things. I thought it was great. I love the post. And the other person I want to hype is Lane Moore. We had her on the show to talk about her book, How to Be Alone. And she is really like, she's almost like the anti-self-help person to me. She's not this like toxic positivity, everything will be great kind of person with all these buzzwords. So she wrote a book about finding friends. She wrote a book called You Will Find Your People. You can pre-order it. I think it's out on April 23rd. So I think it came out yesterday.
At this point, yeah.
At this point, but just double check on Amazon. We love her. Our episode with her was in January 2022, and we talked about just being alone, essentially. And
I loved it. You guys loved it.
Yeah.
Top episode for sure.
Yeah. So check out her book. We just really want to hype her and hype both of them. And of course, we'll have them back on at some point. And the final season of Mrs. Maisel, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, is out on Amazon. So I love that show so deeply, and I'm really excited.
Yes. And I have just started watching Tiny Beautiful Things. Love it. Hulu. And I love the cast. I love the story. You guys should really check it out. And then I did finish Beef, and it's fucking unhinged. The last 2 episodes of Beef are batshit crazy. What?
I really am trying to like play catch up to just start all these shows. And so I haven't finished Beef or Shrinking, and I'm trying to catch up on Succession. I have so much to catch up on.
Okay. One more quick break and then we will get into it. Okay. Pretty Litter. Listen, you have cats. You could scrub, dust, wash, shampoo, disinfect, and vacuum your entire house. But no matter how much cleaning you do, you could still smell your cat's litter box. I shudder to think all that work and you still smell cat stink. This can change though when you make the switch to Pretty Litter. So there is a solution. Nothing beats Pretty Litter's ability to instantly trap odor. I can vouch for this firsthand. I don't have cats, but my parents have a whole bunch, and I spend time at their home, and I've got them switched onto Pretty Litter, and it has this ultra absorbent crystal. It's lightweight, low dust, and 1 6-pound bag works for up to a month without clumping. So no more wasting litter, no more giant bags, especially if you live in a small space. Pretty Litter is really great. And the coolest thing about it is that the crystals change color to indicate early signs of potential illness in your cat, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. So they pee and you can see if it changes color and check and really keep tabs on their health and what's going on in their body, which I really do love that. That's like so important. And on that note, some of my parents' cats are aging too. So they're really keeping tabs on Cooper's health. He's going to live forever. Literally. You know, it's like the meanest cats. Live forever. The most terrifying animals.
My mom, I've always said she's going to outlive all of us. She's not mean anymore. She's gotten soft in her old age.
So Cooper is my parents' devil of a cat, and he's going to outlive us all. But anyway, we're still keeping tabs on his health. And yeah, so we really are such fans of it. And all of our friends and family that have switched over to Pretty Litter will never go back. Pretty Litter can help eliminate cat box stink in your house. Make the switch today. Go to prettylitter.com/GGE and use code GGE to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/GGE, code GGE to save 20% on your first order. prettylitter.com/GGE, code GGE. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details.
Yes. And last but not least, Nutrafol, which I always love talking about because I think that hair loss and hair thinning can make you feel really bad about yourself and wonder what's going on with your body. And I think so much of like women's hair specifically is linked to how you feel and confidence. And so if you are going through that, you are really not alone. Nutrafol might be a really good solution for you. It is dermatologist recommended. It's a great hair growth supplement. It's clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, visible scalp coverage as well. It supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting 5 root causes of thinning. So that can be stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through whole body health. They have 3 different formulas. You can go to their website and check out which one is right for you. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. So it does take time, but if you work it, it will hopefully work. If you work it, it works.
Work it. Kelty, from Lady Gang posted about her Instagram story. She was doing something for them and it like reminded me to take my pills that day. She has great hair. I love seeing people like post about it. It really does work. I've been on it for years.
So we're going to give you guys a discount. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code GGE to save $10 off your first month subscription. This offer is only available to U.S. customers for a limited time, plus free shipping on every order. Get $10 off at Nutrafol.com, and that is spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code GGE.
Okay.
We're going to segue over and get into it with our amazing guest today. Okay, guys, we are so excited today for our guest. She is the CEO and co-creator of an incredibly progressive dating app, Feeld, championing ethical non-monogamy and the exploration of non-traditional romantic relationships. The app is for the sexually curious who are open to experiencing people and experiences in a new way. She was on the Forbes 30 Under 30. She is truly an inspiring female leader. We are so happy to have her. Please welcome to the show, Ana Kirova.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Where are you coming to us from?
Calling in from Porto, Portugal. This is where I'm based, or where most of my stuff is.
Okay.
In between travels.
Okay. I love that. I was in Portugal last summer and just had the best time. So it had been on my list for a while. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I was there too.
Sorry, I was there longer and then I got sick and then you came. So we didn't spend much time together there, but
barely saw each other. As soon as I got there, Ash was like, I'm going to quarantine in my room for 3 days. I was like, oh no.
But I got to spend like a week prior there and just more along the coast, but in the South, but had a great time.
Well, we're so excited to have you. And I was saying to you before the interview, I've read so many great articles where you give your insights on just non-traditional relationships and having different sexual partners and different ideas of what a relationship means. And we're just excited to talk to you about that and your app, Feeld. And where should we start?
So can we just hear the story and how this came about? We love a founder story, especially, for something like this.
Of course. Yeah. I never get tired of saying it.
Okay, good.
So Feeld was founded in 2014. We had just gotten together with my partner, Demo, and we were in our early 20s and we were very much like super in love, really happy to be together, feel like we found the one, both of us. And then I fell for a woman and that completely threw me off, like on a path I didn't expect to be on. It made me question my sexuality. It made me question everything because I had love for Demo, but then I also really had feelings for this woman. It wasn't just an attraction. It was really intense and real. And I thought this meant it's probably a start of an end that I wasn't anticipating or something. And I wanted to tell Demo. And instead of him leaving me, which I thought he would do, he'd be like, oh, so you're gay? You didn't tell me. Okay, then. He actually reacted by being really open and curious and said, what could this mean for us? Like, could you date while we're together? Let's try it, see what happens. And the rest is history. Like, we couldn't really work it out on existing platforms. So he created a mock-up of Feeld. People were asking, where is this app? I can't find it. So he set out to build it. And then I joined the company a year later.
Wow.
No man has ever built a piece of technology to keep me.
Yeah, that's it's very flattering. Yeah.
What a great story. I also love that you didn't anticipate his reaction to be what it was. So
no, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited to talk about that today because I think that we hear from so many people. I'm interested in sexual relationships outside of my relationship, but it doesn't have to mean that it ends your primary quote unquote relationship, or maybe it does, but there are so many other ways to be. So then you created Feeld. What's the sort of theory behind the app? What's the mission?
So our mission is that people can explore their sexuality and relationships more fully. And we really came to that mission organically. This is really what propelled me to sharing my experience with Demo. It's what propelled him to respond the way that he did. It was just this really wholesome view on people as human beings, and sexuality and relationships is something that we discover and evolve and grow as we go. It's not static. We're not born with like, okay, this is your soulmate. You have to find it. Maybe some people feel that way and they find them, and that's great, but it wasn't the way that I felt. It wasn't the way that Demo felt. And as we see, it wasn't the way millions of people feel right now either. And the main difference in the app is that you can sign up with a partner. We were the first platform that allowed that. We have more than 20 gender identity options and more than 20 sexualities to identify with. You can search for people in relationships. You can search for people who are single. You could also search by desires. So you can list what sort of desires you have, which kind of normalizes
I love
that exploration. Because usually desires are something that no one ever asks you about, but they're so important. They're what propels us in many ways. So those would be the key differences.
I think this is so important for so many different reasons. But before Feeld came about, you would see people kind of trying to do this on the other apps and writing things in their bios or what they were looking for that some other people may have been scared off by, but you could feel that people wanted this and they were trying to get it in the other apps.
Totally.
And being like, I want this thing and we're whatever. And we would get messages of like, is this weird? Is this crazy that I'm seeing this on apps? And it's like, not at all. But you could almost feel that people needed something like this exactly and weren't maybe able to get it in the way that they wanted it on, Tinder, Bumble, Raya, whatever it was. So
yeah, no, totally. I mean, most of the apps are based on the idea that you're going to find the one or that you're looking for the one. Whereas Feeld's underlying principle is that relationships are growing and changing, and you need partners that grow with you, that enable you to grow, that allow you to discover yourself. So I think that underlying premise is super different. And there are platforms that help you find the one, and that's amazing. And that's like, they have to exist, but they don't really cater for this idea of the constant evolution and change that a lot of us want to experience in our relationships.
So I was reading an article and you wrote, I don't think there's just one way to be happy or one way to connect with people. And I'll just finish your sentence. You said, I'm not trying to prescribe one type of dating, but I want you to question what's considered the norm and whether it's working for you. Do you feel like there's been a really sort of great rise in people in the last few years just being open to even discussing this or acknowledging that they even want these type of relationships? Have you seen this become like more and more normalized over time?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, our growth, it follows a change in society as a whole. I think people are generally moving towards this perception on relationships as something that should work for you the way that you are and the way that you want to be, not something that you should work on or like invest in to make it work. I feel like we often look at relationships as a chore or as like hard work because we're actually forcing ourselves to fit into a model that was never designed by us. It was never designed with our ideal or our perception or our unique views in life in mind. It's more like this blueprint that just exists and floats around, and it's like really accessible. And we just take it and we try to fit into it. It's a bit like trying to fit in a size that doesn't fit you. And I think that for some people, it's great for them and it works. But there's so many versions of happiness out there. And there is a shift that we're seeing in Feeld. We're seeing it in how people interact on the platform. We're seeing it in how many people are interested in Feeld. It's been happening over the last few years, really accelerated by the pandemic. Like our interest in ethical non-monogamy throughout the pandemic rose by 200% and more, just without us doing anything. It's just people organically listing it as something they're looking for. So when you're stuck at home facing decisions you've made by inertia, you're just like, oh, let me revisit this. Why am I even in this situation? Is this really for me? So yeah.
Wow. I knew that things shifted in this world, but not by 200%. And that's so fascinating that being stuck at home, A, with your partner, but B, with your thoughts and really.
And it makes you think and you start looking
that's
for
all
things.
We could do is reflect on our lives. So I love that this was the outcome of it.
People looked across the house and they were like, I'm ready to fuck someone else with you.
Yeah. And the first time I heard about it was just a friend. I don't know where it was, like a friend of this woman who had just always been in traditional heterosexual monogamous relationships and then really started to explore this and like really got into it more so as a single female who was seeking out couples and different things like that. And I just was so fascinated to hear about her new life.
Thanks.
So it is interesting, the tonal shift. I remember a friend telling me that her and her boyfriend that she was living with at the time were on an app sort of like this a long time ago, and they were looking for a third just for sexual experiences, nothing else. And she sort of like admitted this to me as a deep, dark secret. And I feel like now the tone has almost shifted. When people tell you about it, they're proud to share it. It makes them open. It makes them in touch with their own sexuality. I feel that the tone of these conversations has shifted in a really great way. And maybe since COVID, it normalized it in apps like yours, but it's really exciting to see it.
Yeah.
So can we talk about who is on this app and what you're seeing in terms of, is it people that are married? Is it people that are in an open relationship that are dating? Is it single people? Like, who is attracted to this app and lifestyle?
Yeah. I mean, in general, just over a third of our users are in a relationship. So that's a lot of people. We have half of our people identify something other than heterosexual. So we have a lot of people who identify as hetero-flexible. We have a lot of people who identify as bisexual or pansexual. And people also transition in their sexuality a lot on the platform, which is fascinating to see. Our Gen Z users are still a small fraction of our user base, which might be a surprise. I think usually it sounds like a Gen Z app, but it's actually millennials that are our biggest market. But our Gen Z cohort is the people who are the least straight identifying. So they're like the most kind of out there in terms of sexuality, which is super interesting. Our fastest growing age group is people over 50. This has been throughout the last few months.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
I love that.
Amazing. Yeah. I actually recently found a column in a magazine online where an anonymous middle-aged woman chronicles her experiences on Feeld. It was amazing. It was called Feeld Guides. And she was just like sharing all sorts of her like experiences from the app. It was fascinating.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was listening to this podcast because we were seeking out people to cover these type of topics. And I found this podcast of these two women that are both married to men, and they both are swingers. I mean, that's kind of what the podcast is about. But they mentioned Feeld and that they use that to find other couples, find singles, and just chronicle their experiences. And I found it really fascinating. And I was like, their lives just sounded so cool. They just sounded like Rayna and me, like two best friends, but just happen to have husbands and happen to be swingers. And it was interesting. It was fascinating to listen to. And it wasn't this like raunchy, way of even speaking about it. It was just like, this is our life and this is what we do and this is how we do it. And I really enjoyed hearing them talk even about like what it's like to bring a single person into a sexual experience with a married couple. So anyway, I just think
Friends with a Twist?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Friends with a Twist.
Also, I listened to that podcast and it really was great. And Ashley's so right about the tone and how it is just normal. But you said something and I was curious. You said there's a lot of people on the app that are changing their sexuality. Meaning, did you mean like they sign up and they say, I am looking for only women, and then they switch what they're identifying as wanting?
Yeah, we have that. So we have that actually more with men. So we have men who identify straight, but they're actually looking for men. And then we also have people who sign up as, let's say, hetero-flexible, and then over time move to bisexual and then pansexual. So they sort of like expand how they identify to be more open and recognize that they could meet more people and are actually not that limited. I think Feeld is just a place where a lot of transition and transformation happens for people. It facilitates that. The community is really open-minded. So there is this general feeling we get from users, because it's hard to identify one single user group. Like, our people are like this, they go in these cafes, they listen to this kind of music. It's really hard to identify a group like this. It's a lot of very different, diverse communities. But what we see as a trend or as a unifying factor, I guess, between them is that they seek this fuller life. They seek a more wholesome experience to life. For a lot of them, this means practicing their sexuality in more ways. For a lot of them, it means finding their community, it means finding people who are open-minded. It just means various different things. But the ability to be transparent about what you look for and seeing that other people are also okay with that and meet you where you are has facilitated this like search for more wholesome, more vivid experience of life.
Yeah. I think you said hetero-flexible versus bisexual. Can you just just for me, just explain like the difference. It's the people that are heterosexual, but they're like, I'm kind of open. I don't identify as bisexual.
I think so, yeah. Someone I spoke to recently told me how their friends used Feeld to step into the bisexual world. Hetero-flexible is like a more permissive term to express that you would be open to, but you can't commit, or like you're not certain yet, or you're like dipping your toes. It's kind of a little bit of a controversial term for some people because it feels like it's a low commitment type of term, but at the same time, it's very permissive. It allows people to test and try and see how they feel presenting this way and how they feel when they get approached with such a label. We actually find it more common for men to use that term rather than women. Women are more comfortable just stating they're bisexual because it doesn't affect your femininity, probably, if you express that as a straight woman, that you're actually interested in women. There's a lot of interesting dynamics there.
Oh yeah, that's a topic that we've discussed before. Just like, why is it like this? You know, how do we put this into words? It's interesting that it's controversial, and I cannot speak on this from any sort of expert position, but I like it because it is just that you're curious, and it almost feels probably not that you don't want to say you're bisexual. It's more that you're just probably not sure. And you don't want to give people the wrong idea. So it's just like, I'm interested. I think that might be the first time I've heard that term, and I love it.
I really identify with it because I feel like I'm like that. I'd never say never, I guess. I sleep with people who identify as heterosexual men, and that's typically what I go after. But I don't know. Is there never going to be a woman I want to sleep with? Probably not. Like,
well, you've had experiences with women.
I mean, yes, I've had experiences with women. It's been so long ago. It's not even like almost not worth mentioning anymore.
But it's not nothing. So
yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I've had sex with women. So I've had sex with women. I've had threesomes, and I am open to it. I haven't traditionally enjoyed dating and fucking men, but that doesn't mean I'm not open to it. So yeah, I'm this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people on Feeld are totally fine with it. Like, the community itself is really welcoming to however you present, whatever you feel. I think that's the magic.
We're going to move past the app a little bit and just kind of talk about some other things, but I still want to go back to 20 sexual orientations. Is that what you said? Could we just talk about some of the other ones? I feel like people may have heard that and been like, hold on, what would other ones be?
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 20 sexualities on our app. We've crafted a list that we're trying to be as inclusive as possible, but also like not too overwhelming, because it could be quite a journey. We have a glossary that explains each one of them, but maybe to give some examples, there is asexual, for example. I think that's quite an accessible term. I'm sure you've known about it. It's just people who just don't experience sexual desire. Yeah. So you can identify as that on the platform. We have the ones we just discussed, which is hetero-flexible. We also have homo-flexible, which would be the reverse of that to some extent. So we have like homosexual people who are open to being in more heterosexual situations. We have pansexual, which is like anyone.
Anything goes.
We have queer. I'm sure you're familiar with it. A lot of people prefer to identify as queer. And then bisexual, bicurious. Some of the more interesting ones are, for example, demisexual, which is when you need to establish a romantic or almost like a personal kind of relationship, almost intellectual, with someone before you can even consider a sexual interaction. Like, for people who identify as demisexual, it's really hard to, for example, go for a one-night stand or have like a one-off experience without really getting to know someone. So those would be some of them. We have a glossary on our website that goes in detail for each one.
Okay.
We'll post that.
Yeah, we'll post that. I'm really curious. I've always wanted to do an episode about this, and I feel like you can speak to this about attitudes about this from culture to culture. Because, like, for example, like, we have a friend, Clara, she's from Spain. She thinks Americans' ideas of like monogamy are the most ridiculous thing she's ever heard. She just like can't stop laughing about it. She thinks it's so funny. She's like, why would I want part of it? It's crazy. But I'm curious if you see like a difference between like American attitudes about this lifestyle versus European, and if you can speak on that. If not, don't. But I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about it.
No, it's such a good question. This is a personal view. We haven't like commissioned a research or anything yet, but I think I definitely see a difference in how people perceive this, like especially American metropolitan culture. Like, there's such a commitment to terms it's really interesting. Like people really want to have words that they identify with. Like they want to say, I'm this sexuality, this relationship, it's this setup, it's hierarchical, it's not hierarchical. Like there's just this really elaborate use of various different terms to describe a relationship. And I think if you go in Europe, it's a bit more lax. And maybe to what your friend is saying, like it's just almost kind of in the air that there is exploration and it's possible. But then from country to country, I'm sure it differs. Like Berlin, for example, it's a bubble on its own. Like you have everyone's doing everything with everyone there, everywhere. Like I know people practice kink in the parks during the day,
Do you know
we got to get back to Berlin. We got to get back there.
Seriously. Yeah, like they do role play, like it's not weird. It's a Berlin thing. And then if you go to London, which is obviously a metropolitan city, you have to be in the scene to know where to go. But people are generally really open to non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy. It's actually really trending there. And this more wholesome, intentional approach to relationships is really growing. And I think then you have countries like France that are like a bit more traditional. There, it's like, I think Esther Perel calls it like serial monogamy, where you're like, date one at a time, but you still date a lot of people. So there's definitely difference in culture.
Okay.
But as I said, this is just observation.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Americans have this obsession with defining your sexuality and also defining the relationship. Other cultures seem to not be as obsessive over, are we girlfriend, boyfriend? Are we, fiancé? Are we married? What are we? Yes. Like the DTR talk. I mean, even I feel like since we've started this podcast in 5 years, I feel like partner has just become this word that really used to not be used as much in heterosexual relationships. Like partner used to mean more gay relationships or queer relationships. And then it became mainstream for heterosexual people to say it. And I like it because it's just this more all-encompassing term instead of this, like, we have to figure out where we are in the stage of the relationship. And I see that we're the only culture that like gets so granular with the definition of the actual relationship.
Yes. There's like an allegiance to defining it.
Yeah. I think just English and American English just moves at a different pace. And as culture changes, like for some reason, somehow in the US in particular, and also in the UK to a great extent, like language catches up because people come up with terms like either online or, I don't know, in memes or in subcultures. Like a lot of trans communities and Black communities are the ones that start usually uses of different terms, and then they just get adopted and spread out. But it usually stems from English because that's where culture moves the fastest and just disseminates and like spreads out the fastest. So I think that's what it probably boils down to. And then other cultures kind of catch up and just pick little things that make it. But for example, I really I'm being brainwashed right now with the idea of situationship. I'm like, okay, this is such a good word. No matter what I think of it, it's a good word. And it just explains everything. So
American men invented that. Yeah, for sure.
We finally have a word for this thing that's been around since the beginning of time.
White heterosexual American men invented.
Well, we'd love to talk a little bit more about being in a relationship and wanting to explore and how to talk to your partner about opening up your relationship or bringing in sexual partners. I mean, do you have any advice for, we know your story, but people who may be scared to even explore this and tell their partner?
I mean, it's very personal. Many people ask me this, and I think if fear is the blocker, my usual response would be like, first of all, what are you afraid of? And second, an encouragement to do whatever you're afraid of and just do it whilst you're being afraid. Because if this is you, if this is what you're interested in, if this is what you want in your life, and you're relying on a partner to be next to you in this life, in this world, they have to be able to take the changes that you want to expose yourself to. And also they deserve to know that you want to go through these things. The thing is that if you don't share, it's really likely that you're going to be pulled in that direction anyway. Mm-hmm. So just do it afraid. And to sort of minimize the impact, what I did was I sat down and I wrote a letter. It doesn't have to be a letter, but just clarify your thoughts, like do your research, consider what exactly it is that you're thinking about. Is it just a thought? Is it a fantasy? Is it a clear very well-defined desire. In my case, there was a person involved, like someone who was actually in my life. In many people's cases, it's a need of diversity in their sexual life, or a curiosity for being with more partners, or just, oh, I read about this app or heard about this app. What do you think about it? So this was one thing. And the other one is bringing up something like Feeld is a great way to do it, like almost just to test the waters of what the person would think. But my usual advice is just go for it and express what you're thinking and feeling. It will be growth for everyone involved in the relationship. It will show how your partner will take something like this. It will show you things that you may not want to know about them, but it's important to know. And also, it's never going to be easy. So just go for it.
Yeah. I like your acknowledgement that this is not easy. It is definitely easier said than done. And I'm sure people spend months, if not years, mulling over ever bringing this up to a partner. And I like that you said that oftentimes when you're thinking this, it will manifest itself. It will come out. It will happen. So why not talk about it? And I think of a good friend of mine, and she was in a long-term relationship. And I know that she was sort of interested in having other sexual partners. And this went on for a long time. She didn't cheat. She didn't do anything like that. I kept saying to her, I think you should float this idea to your partner. And she always would say, he's an angel. He would never do something like that. He would never do something like this to me. He would never go for something like that. And I said to her multiple times, I think you should just try. And he ended up leaving her for probably similar reasons, that he wanted to be with other people or at least explore other people. And I'm not saying that's like a lesson for all of us. You know, that's their very specific personal relationship. And who knows if that would have saved their relationship anyways. To be honest, I don't know if they were really right for each other long term.
That's a great example. You know, if you're feeling a certain way, your partner is probably picking up on it too. If it's so much ingrained, and that was kind of, she'd been feeling that way for quite some time, like a year, you got to kind of realize that this is a person you've been with for a while. They probably have an idea of what's going on in your head. They could be feeling the same way. But I love what you said about just bring up Feeld. And we say that all the time, bring up a podcast episode, send them this, you know, after this airs. And it's just such a good way to test the waters. And I would imagine that someone who is just starting to even think in this way and just starting to be at the bottom level of curiosity, that getting on this app could make them even know what they want. Like they could see things that they didn't think about that really pull them in and you really gravitate towards. So I feel like even just getting in an app like this could help you realize what you're into that you hadn't seen put into words yet or seen that was out there. So I love all of it. I'm sure it's helped people discover themselves.
I'm curious, and maybe you have some insights into this. Like, do people, I don't know if there's a quote unquote usually, but like, do you think it's more common for somebody to say, I'd like to introduce a new sexual partner into our relationship versus I would like to date other people? I'd like to go on a date with other people, because those feel like very different sort of intentions. One is I'd like you to be with me during this journey. And one is I'd like us both to go on separate journeys and support each other in this and still be each other's primary partner. Do you see one happening more than the other? Not at all.
That's such a good question. I mean, given that we have about a third of our user base are people in relationships, then I don't know how the maths adds up to this, but
are they in there together? Like when you say the third, they're approaching the app as the couple. Is that what you mean? Okay.
So I think more people on the platform are by themselves, but many of them look for couples. Many of them look for single people. Many of them look for both. It's hard to separate. I think people come to Feeld with one intention. Like they might come to Feeld because they heard about it on this podcast and there's something specific that someone said and they're like, oh, well, I'm very curious. I'm going to go specifically for that. But they usually stay on the platform for other reasons, and they kind of end up going through these transformations on the platform. This is what we're seeing from how people behave. You might be on Feeld because someone told you they went on the best date ever and they made a best friend. And then you join Feeld with that knowledge of like, okay, so I want to meet my friends there. But you end up discovering that you're actually curious to explore your sexuality after you see all the profiles, as you said. It's just a very permissive space. It's very welcoming. And people approach their self-discovery with a lot of intention, and everyone meets you where you are. So you could be transforming, and people on the platform are okay with that. And they will go with you or say, this is not what I want right now, but it's been great talking to you. There's just this like really interesting, organic sort of flow that happens in the platform.
Okay. I want to talk about boundaries for a second. And
Rayna's favorite topic.
It really is my favorite topic. You might have a very much like, one size fits one answer to this. But like, for example, I want to talk about like, discussing this with your partner ahead of time, what the boundaries look like. Because I had a threesome with a couple a long time ago. And it created a lot of problems in their relationship. And I think they ultimately broke up because of it. This is somebody who I'd known her for a very long time. It was probably a newer relationship for them, maybe less than 6 months. I had a threesome with them and we were just drunk late at night and we all hooked up. And I don't think anything was like discussed in like a really healthy way or anything like that. And after, I think what transpired was she formed a lot of jealousy issues based on, is this what you want to do with other women? Are you attracted to my friend? Is this going to be something that's expected of me all the time? I don't really want to watch you fuck another person. You did fuck her. Like, we were drunk and it was late at night. And none of these things were discussed. And in a perfect world, you discuss everything. Everybody puts their cards on the table and signs a contract. But I'm curious about boundaries because obviously that's like the worst case scenario. And I don't think they just broke up because of me, but I think it highlighted issues in the relationship that they haven't dealt with yet.
Yeah. No, totally. I think you phrased it very well. I feel like we kind of deal with jealousy in a really childish way. Not to shame anyone. I've been there myself. We just kind of put it in a cupboard and we're like, okay, you don't go out of here. You're in the like bottom drawer, somewhere hidden away. And we take it as pride to not be jealous. We're like, oh no, I'm so independent. I'm not jealous, and then when you feel it, it's like, oh no. And you push it back in. If instead we acknowledge that jealousy is normal in relationships, we grow up kind of taught that we can own things and we want attention and we need attention to feel validated. If we approach jealousy with curiosity and as soon as we feel it, we're like, probe it and like investigate, okay, what is it that this is showing me? If I'm jealous right now, what's the trigger? Do I need more attention? Do I need more love? Do I need more touch? Do I need more time for myself? And am I expecting all of this to come from one person, or do I actually need to give this to myself by myself? Like, what is this actually showing? If there is a curiosity applied to jealousy, it could transform how you look at your partner, how you look at any relationship. I mean, I've had jealous friends who've been upset that, I'm sure you've had jealous friends who've been upset that you don't pay them enough attention or something like this. And I think in romantic relationships, it's just not a practice that people investigate that. And usually something like that threesome that you had with the couple is just a cherry on the top. It's not the cause. It's just various different things that have been piling up over time. And then it's just this strong event, which I'm sure was great. But after that, like the aftermath is, it just kind of, or not, but in the aftermath, it just kind of like opens up like all of these things that have been piling up in that drawer. I think that's what it's all about. And I think the reason why ethical non-monogamy is growing in popularity is because people are becoming more curious about this. They are curious. They are looking inward and they are like, wait, what is this showing me? What are the expectations I'm projecting onto myself and my partner? Are they correct? Are they really what I need? And I think this more wholesome curiosity practice, if you want, can kind of guide into a discussion around boundaries. Because there's no way for you to know your boundaries if you're not curious about what you want and what you don't want. And we kind of just stumble and we fall into situations and then we uncover, oh, actually, I don't like that.
I love that answer.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about this with Dr. Orna Goralnik. She's on the show Couples Therapy on Showtime, and just about jealousy and when there's infidelity. So not ethical non-monogamy, but this feeling of needing to feel special and needing to feel like the only one and things like that. And that can kind of stem from that, but that can just be work on yourself and reflection. And then also it's so helpful to meet people in the same type of situations that have gone through the same thing that can talk to you about it, whether it's in this community or outside of it. I think that's what's been so helpful to me over the years doing this podcast is just hearing other people's experience so you don't feel crazy or they help you work through it yourself. Like I would imagine if there's a woman, for example, that's like, I want to get into this, but I'm so jealous, and you have people to support you and tell you why you might feel this way, why you quote unquote shouldn't. I'm sure it's just really the community itself that wasn't this large 10 years ago, 20 years ago, et cetera. 5 years ago. So
yeah, I have a question, and we could probably spend 2 hours talking about this. So if we don't have a short answer for this, we can move on. But I think one of the primary fears when your partner says to you, I'd like to open up our relationship, I'd like to have other sexual partners or date other people, is, well, what if you catch feelings for that person? Do I lose you? Is this game over? So I guess maybe how to manage those type of feelings when your partner says to you, I'd like to open up our relationship, worrying like, is this a road to this ending our relationship perhaps? And is it just sort of like, well, we'll have to see. Do you hear people saying this to you?
I mean, I bring it back to curiosity. You just have to be curious about what's next. If this is what your partner wants, I think you need to establish for yourself if that's something you're comfortable with and you can go for. And if not, then have that conversation. But if yes, then just really be curious about the journey and open to what comes next. We have no guarantee that our partners that we are with right now are going to be with us forever.
No, right?
No, like I'm not religious, so I don't feel like I have that guarantee that's provided to me by, a system of belief that some of my friends have, and they rely on that. I don't have that. I want my partners to feel like they can be their full selves, and I want myself to be my whole self. And life is really rich, so any experience can really change you. I think meeting other people and getting involved with them romantically feels closer to a potential breakup in a bad scenario. But in reality, it doesn't have to be a bad scenario. You don't have to try to predict the future. And it might be very enriching to the relationship. But ultimately, if you apply curiosity and an open mind, everyone will have so much more to learn and gain from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you project like a fairy tale or a bad story, then that's usually what's going to guide you.
I like that you said there's just like no guarantees in life. It's like you could say no, but that's not going to prevent somebody from doing it.
Whatever. I mean, divorce statistics. It also doesn't matter if you did these vows in front of God and yada, yada. People break up all the time. I'm not saying those don't matter, but there are absolutely no guarantees. I'm curious if you see a lot of people just going for like a one-time, two-time thing, or more looking for like long-lasting partners to bring into their relationship? Or is it just both? Is it let's do a one-night threesome as a couple, or let me try to find a throuple to join? I mean, like, what is it? Is it more fleeting, or do you see people really meeting long-term people in their lives on the app?
I think in the early days, for sure, people were looking at Feeld as more of a platform they joined to get a one-off thing done. Like a bucket list item. Like in the early days, in the very early days, in the first 1-2 years, that's what people were excited about from Feeld. But in one of the first researches that I did when I was so young and inexperienced, forever feel this way, at least the inexperienced part, don't know about the young part. But when I was like in the early days of Feeld, I did a research and uncovered that actually a lot of people joined to have a threesome or to have like a one-off thing, but they stayed because they made friends, or they stayed because they found someone and they're now in a relationship and they use Feeld together to find other people. So the intention was short-lived probably in the early days, but now it's transforming. And right now, I think people just join Feeld with a much more wholesome and kind of long-term idea. A lot of people join Feeld out of curiosity. They don't really know what they want. They're curious and they want to see what Feeld has to offer. We talk a lot about this idea of hi-fi society, which is like we're moving from a black and white, simple life to a much more rich and diverse ways of being happy. And Feeld offers that place where you can just discover what you want. You might not know what it is. So that's why it's not as short-lived anymore. I can definitely look to see if we can quantify this in any way, like with retention or anything like this, if stats would be interesting to your audience.
Yeah, and just us. So
yeah.
I think people are curious about a threesome or a partner swapping, and if they don't know where to start, they've never done it, it's square one. What can you tell them of how this might look? And I know every situation is different, but you get on this app and you look at people that you find interesting or attractive or you're curious about. And then do you find it to be a let's meet up for drinks probably and see where the night takes us. Or, I think there's just a lot of, you're scared of the unknown, like what can we tell people that this is not as scary as you think it's going to be?
I think I revert back to do it afraid. Even if I say it's not scary, I think there is underlying fears when it's a new thing. So it's fine. It's okay to feel scared because it's new. But again, look at that fear with an open mind and curiosity and just like give yourself a hug and go for it and see what happens. In terms of actually practically speaking, I think being yourself is key. There isn't a version of you that you have to build up in order to get whatever you're looking for. I think, especially on Feelds, people being themselves is what gives them connections they're looking for, the meaningful connections they look for. And express your desires, express what you're looking for. There will be people who are interested in that. Or if not, there will be people who are interested in you as a person and would like to talk to you and understand more why you're interested in that, why you have that desire. It's just a really like multifaceted experience as a whole. And the part which we can control is how we present ourselves. We can't control how conversations will go. We can't control what others will think and feel. But the part we can really do control is how we approach the situation, how we interpret it. So being curious, being open, being as much of yourself as you feel okay. Like you could be anonymous as a start, like hide bits about you if you don't feel like you're ready to show yourself, but show something that is uniquely you, like part of your life. Express how you live, express what you're interested in, express that desire, what it means to you, why is it so important. And in terms of like first dates, places in public, places where you feel comfortable, doesn't have to be a bar, could be a cafe, could be a park, could be a library, like any place which feels good for you. And then come with your whole self and just be open and curious about the person you're going to meet. They're a human being. They have their own fears. They have their own desires and curiosities, and they have a completely different universe from their perspective. It's always fascinating to meet people that way.
I love that you even said this isn't like, I feel like someone could picture what and they're like, but I've never done this. I don't want to show up to like the sex dungeon and I need to wear like some crazy kinky outfit. It's like, you can meet at the park.
Wait,
Like,
did you see that? Somebody wrote that. Somebody said,
what do you wear to the sex club? Yeah. It's probably not outside of the realm of what's already normal to you. Like you said, go to a cafe, do a day date. It doesn't have to be seriously. Like put on, bondage gear and like go do it, So I think that's probably people might get tripped up and like, this is going to be so different and abnormal to me. And it doesn't have to be. Like you said, these people are human. They have fears. They have insecurities. We're all human.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah, sure.
Your insights really are so wonderful. And we just love hearing so much more about your thoughts on this and your app. And we just love hearing about your mission behind the app and what you're doing. And it's a great thing in the world. And we love hearing about it and promoting it. So can you tell everybody where they can find you, the app, anything else they might be interested in?
Of course. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter. And then Feeld, the website is feeld.co. So feeld.co. The app is free to use. And we have subscriptions if you want to use some of our features to connect to people faster, to connect to more people.
Well, thank you so much for this. Again, like Rayna said, this was so wonderful. We have so much new information. We're so excited for our audience to hear this as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you for what you're doing. I love the attitude. I love like the vibe. It's so necessary. Like sex is just so serious and heavy and difficult. It's just this like light touch and honesty that it needs. So I really appreciate that you asked me all these questions. I hope your audience likes it.
They're going to love it.
Thank you for saying that. This really was a pleasure. And we will hopefully talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we hope you enjoyed that interview. We did. We loved it. So you guys can find us at girlsgottaeat.com. Get those tickets. The Snack City Tour, all dates are on sale through the year, through the whole tour. And you can get those again at girlsgottaeat.com. Click on live shows. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram, both at Girls Gotta Eat Podcast. I am Ash Hess on everything. Rayna is Rayna.Greenberg on Instagram. Girls_Gotta Eat on Twitter. We're on Twitter as well. We love tweeting with you guys. Subscribe on YouTube YouTube, share with a friend, rate, review if you love this. And of course, our other company is Vibes Only, vibesonly.com, Vibes Only on Instagram. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.